Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm speaking to two audiences here. I've got people in person and online, so hopefully you're able to hear me if you're online. My name's Stephen Rayburn. I'm one of the deputies at the Royal High School, and as part of my remit area, I have DYW. I've also got Jamie Terrace here with me, who's on another iPad and is going to be at the end of the chat function. So any questions that come up through the presentation, please just put the question in the chat and we can answer as we go along. We'll leave some time at the end as well. Okay, can I just check that everybody can hear online first of all? Somebody just do a comment in the chat to say that we're okay and you can hear me? Great. Okay, so a quick overview of the session. The aim really is to try and highlight some of the good practice that has been identified from the inspection report, and to talk about some of the next steps that we have as some of our aims and strategies within the Royal High School. So on the board there, you can see an overview of what's to come during the session. When I first took on this remit area, one of the challenge questions I worked with our working group was to look at this question here of how well are we working with learners, parents and carers, employers, colleges and other partners to develop an effective approach to careers education which supports them into sustained positive destinations. And I think if we were being totally honest, DYW wasn't top of the agenda. It was playing second fiddle to a lot of the other priorities that happen in school. And I don't know if that's a reflection in all other schools, but it certainly wasn't at the forefront. And there was lots of good things going on, but they were probably happening in kind of silos across the school. And actually, what we really wanted to do was to bring lots of the good practice that was going on and bring it together and have a bit more of a strategy in place as to how we're planning the year out. And we came up with some aims, which was aiming to ensure that our pupils enter a sustained positive destination, improving employability skills, bringing the curriculum to life through education employer partnerships. Now, we kind of bang the drum about bringing the curriculum to life. That's kind of the phrase that we talk about quite a lot, which is really trying to challenge staff to think about content that they cover in the year and thinking about how they can do it slightly differently, creatively, to add value and to make it a bit more interesting, to help students make sense of what's being covered in the curriculum. So getting staff to be a little bit creative around bringing the curriculum to life. We also looked at setting an aim of encouraging pupils to plan and prepare for their future by exploring opportunities. And we had a job to do there by having the relevant platforms in place and having the relevant events in place. But also there's an onus on them to go away and do their homework, but to be informed as to how to research opportunities. And also to aim that all young people are prepared for the transition into a positive school destination. Some pupils will sail through that journey, through the transition, and as we'll be aware in schools, there are other pupils who really don't know how to manage that step. And that might be because they don't know what they want to do, and it might be that they lack confidence, or there are a whole number of reasons. But it was about putting the opportunities in place to ensure that the transition is as smooth as possible. So within the Royal High, we have our SDS, our Careers Advisor. We've got a DYW coordinator who works between ourselves and Craigroyston High School. We've got a staff working group in which we have around a dozen staff who come along to that. And our staff working group are great. We have a mix of staff who are there to kind of help advise, because it's a voluntary opportunity to be part of a staff working group at the Royal High. So some staff come along and advise, other staff come along and lead different parts of the DYW agenda. Last year, we had two groups. We had a group that focused on events planning through the year, and the other group were focusing on employability skills and building up to our launch of meta skills for next year. But overall, within that staff working group, the aim is to work towards our 3-year plan. So we've identified a 3-year DYW plan, which has been mapped out against the 10 career education standards. On the website, along with the PowerPoint, I've shared our overall document, our kind of DYW strategy document, which has that 3-year plan if anyone wants to have a peek. Within the school, we've also got our pupil career representatives, and these kind of double up as our My World of Work ambassadors as well. These are a mix of pupils across all year groups. They meet once every half term, and we also have a representative from that pupil group who sits on our pupil parliament. So the pupil parliament is essentially the forum where all pupils from different leadership opportunities come together to discuss the big school issues and to try and come up with some action points. But we make sure that the voices from the careers team is really heard so that that remains top of some of the priorities that are going on. And we've also got a DYW staff lead opportunity in the school. And that's Jamie Terrace, who's in with us today, who has one period a week to really try and keep making sure that the ball isn't dropped, so making sure that we are absolutely on target to make sure that we're hitting all the big key events for DYW through the year, to make sure that we're hitting our targets for data entries for things like our 16 plus database, to make sure that our pupil career reps are actually doing their job and just keeping the momentum of the whole programme. So that one block naturally kind of gets swept up and becomes a lot more than one period a week, as you'll appreciate with these types of roles. What we've really tried to have a big push on is having that triangulation of work between SDS, DYW and the school. And we've created a careers hub in our school library, which essentially has two booths in it. One which is for our careers advisor, one which is for our DYW coordinator. And actually it's made a massive difference to actually have them situated in a place where they feel valued, where having a booth has allowed for a little bit more privacy for them as workers, but also for pupils who want to come and speak to them. It just gives a little bit more of an air of privacy when conversations are taking place. But it also has allowed for, I suppose, a little bit more direction when pupils want to go and find out about careers. They know where to go. They know that the careers team will be up at the library. They see the pathways that are laid out there. They get all the information pamphlets. And it's really allowed for positive working relationships between our SDS advisor and our DYW coordinator. Because they work across from each other, it's just allowed for really nice partnership working. And they feel valued as part of the school. And that's the big thing. Where we come in there, we work together to try and pull together this targeted operating model, which I know schools across Scotland are doing, where ahead of the next academic term, we sit down, we plan out the academic year from the group work sessions that are taking place, the one-to-one appointments, the career rep meetings, parents' evenings, information sessions, and so on. And that targeted operating model meeting is really important to make sure that actually we're planned ahead for the year so that we know who's responsible for which events and we're not chasing our tail at any point. And that's where Jamie, our staff lead, comes in to make sure that actually we're sticking to the plan. I'm going to go through some of the areas that were highlighted in the report now. One of the things was talking about our partners within the school, using an impressive range of well-considered whole school and subject-specific partners. So on the back of the Education Employer Framework that came out in 2019, we broke up our partners into three different categories: engagement, collaboration, and influential partnerships. Now, the engagement partnerships are the kind of one-off events, things that are likely to be that kind of inspiring event, the one that when you're older, you look back to when you were younger at school and you remember the guest speaker coming in who perhaps had an influence on you or perhaps didn't have an influence on you. But those are the one-off activities, usually the things that are easier to organise and the things that are likely to be happening across the school already. One of the areas that was identified as being a strength was My Future Friday, which I'll speak about in a second, as well as the various career events that take place throughout the year. We have a big focus on our S2 year group to try and, I suppose, inform them as much as possible about all things careers ahead of their subject choice for S3. So S2 is our big focus group for a year, and they have a number of events that take place throughout the year. We have a DYW week for the whole school in the first week of December, and that week is really designed, again, targeted mainly S2s, but there are events on for the whole school. But what we do in that week is staff share the pathways within their subject for all S2 pupils. They talk about the pathways within school and the opportunities that their subject will lead for them beyond school. And we have different guest speakers come in that week, again, to try and hopefully inspire, but to also get pupils thinking about what's out there. And it has had some really positive feedback from pupils and staff involved in the process. Because pupils know what's happening, they're going to class expecting to have a pathway talk, expecting to find out a little bit more about what their subject may lead them on to. What we've challenged staff on across the school for the engagement is to have as many possible connections with our former pupils, but also kind of wider than that, the whole looking outwards, trying to get a bank of contacts that can really begin to bring the curriculum to life. So every term, we're asking staff to try and have a guest speaker to either come into school or to join via Teams, and it doesn't have to be for every year group, but to focus on a specific year group. And we've let it be quite organic at the moment in terms of which year group staff decide to target. But we've had a push on staff really trying to get behind subject-specific engagements, again, in a bid to bring the curriculum to life. So My Future Friday is something that's gained a lot of momentum over the past few years, and it's a similar model to our business breakfast, but on a Friday morning, we've got extended forward time from 8:30 to 8:50. So each Friday, we have a different guest speaker that presents, and this, when it started off in its infancy, was all in person. During COVID, we kept My Future Friday going, and the presentations happened online. And since then, we've had a bit of a hybrid model, dependent upon what our guest speaker would like to do in terms of their preference. And some of the offerings we have on a Friday are fairly niche, and others are a bit more all-encompassing. So our numbers vary. We may have half a dozen come on a Friday, but we may have 40 at another session. And that's the beauty of the programme, is that actually those people from S1 to S6 who decide that they want to come and hear about what's happening on that Friday morning will come along. It's a short, sharp session. It's a 15-minute input with some time for questions. And staff in the school also know that if the programme overruns, that actually that's going to take a bit of priority because they're hearing about careers. The big game changer for us in terms of, I suppose, gaining momentum with this programme has been communication. And actually what we now do is we have an email that goes out to all pupils about the opportunities that are coming up. There's an email goes home in the parent bulletin outlining who the speaker is and information about the speaker. There's an email to all staff so that staff can target classes. And we also have a tannoy every Friday morning as a reminder, because the easy option for pupils is always to go to class with their mates on a Friday morning, as opposed to going to something that might be a little bit extra. So we've got our careers team who are out standing on a Friday morning and encouraging pupils to come in. And it's actually been something that has rolled out really nicely and is just part of the woodwork of the school now. So we don't really have to kind of fight to get numbers there now. It's one of those where pupils want to come and listen to what's going on. The other session or the other event that's been commented on positively has been our S2 network event. And this was an idea that we actually kind of stole from Craigmont High School, who ran with a very similar model to what we do. But this is where we bring in around 40, 50 different sectors who come into our hall, and pupils in S2 move around in groups of 3 or 4 and have the opportunity to spend 3 minutes at a station, and they've got a question grid, and they find out a little bit more about a variety of sectors that are going on, just so that pupils, I suppose, options stay open so that they're not completely focused on kind of knowing exactly what they want to do. It's just about asking questions and finding out the different opportunities that are out there. And as always, there are probably more guests than the pupils can rotate around, so we try and be tactical as to where they're placed, and we try and get pupils to rotate around the sectors that they're most interested in. But as you can see from the kind of the list there, this is examples of what we do for our S2 year group. So we have an information session in around November with parents and carers, which is an introduction to a careers advisor, DYW coordinator, to talk about the events that are taking place, just so that careers is on the map. There's the subject pathway presentations in December. Our careers advisor then has one-to-one appointments with all S2s during November, December and January. And inevitably, our careers advisor has to rope in other careers advisors to get through our numbers, because we're sitting on between kind of 240 to 280 young people in any S2 year group. We've then got course choice information even for pupils and parents in January. We've got a careers event, which is the networking event in January. Our S2s then have a one-to-one course choice appointment with a guidance teacher. And parents, carers also have the opportunity to link in with the careers advisor should they have any questions about all things careers. And then obviously there are the kind of online platforms such as My World of Work and Unifrog, which will come on to later through SE. But the aim of this is to really build up a programme ahead of S2s making their course choice in February. Moving on to the kind of collaboration partnerships, this is the kind of longer term commitment between the employer and school. So things like work experience opportunities that we've developed over the past few months and years. Our JET programme, which is the Job Education Training Programme, where our fourth years take part in work experience through the year, and we have fifth year Christmas leavers who take part in a programme called JET Plus and have extended opportunities for work experience. We have Career Ready, that kind of one-to-one coaching opportunity for some of our young people with protective characteristics. And a programme that initially has come from Skills Development Scotland called Inform, Inspire, Hire, we've made into our own programme now, which is very much focused at S5 pupils. And this again was something that was highlighted from the inspection team, based upon the feedback from pupils, that this has been a very positive offering. So essentially the Inform, Inspire, Hire programme started as a 10-week programme in the school where we had maybe 10 pupils coming along. This year it's built momentum it's ran over the period of around 3 months, and it's finished with mock interviews, and we've had pupils receiving feedback on their CVs and feedback from mock interviews and so on. And next year, the plan is that it's going to be built into our S5 Academy programme. So our S5s all take part in an academy programme once a week, and one of the options is going to be for this Inform, Inspire, Hire programme, which is a programme going to be around not only building up their portfolios of CVs, cover letters, interview experience, but also looking at things like how they control their finances, looking at their online appearance, opportunities for networking, for work experience. So we're hoping, and we've already had some positive feedback from our cohort moving into S5, that we're going to have a pretty big uptake there. And again, we have some positive discrimination goes on with that group, where our guidance team are targeting pupils to be involved in this programme. And then the one that's probably hardest to reach, but the one that we're trying to have a push on with all faculties, are the influential partnerships. So these are the longer term partnerships where really we're looking for employers to be linking in with the school to be able to bring the curriculum to life for young people and to enthuse young people a little bit more about being in school. So some of the kind of whole school opportunities that go on that many schools will have, and many schools will have a lot more than what we have, but these are just some examples of the partners that are working really well with us. Spartans Alternative School, Muirhouse Youth Development Group, Edinburgh Rugby Prosper Programme, Edinburgh Leisure, Robertson's Construction, Scran Academy, Caning Concern, which essentially is Therapet, but that seems to gain momentum in the school as well, and Turn Your Life Around. And these are the kind of whole school influential partnerships, but as I said, we're also challenging each faculty, each department to think about influential partnerships that they can have to bring the curriculum to life. So for example, we've got HSBC who have linked in with business and are looking at the National 5 and Higher course and linking in through Teams and in person to try and bring certain areas of that curriculum to life. Something we were really pleased with was how positively our partners spoke about their working relationships with us as a school. They enjoy working with us. They enjoy working with the young people. They feel valued. And I genuinely think that that has allowed us to build momentum with our partners. It's allowed us to get more out of our partners because they enjoy the communication being slick. They enjoy coming in because they know that actually we're going to be fully invested in a partnership should they link in with us. And although through the year, we would evaluate partnerships informally through conversations and asking how pupils are getting on. A next step for us, and something that was identified through the inspection team, was to begin formally evaluating the impact that partners have on our curriculum. And that was something that I would urge you to do, and something that we're planning to do is to bring our partners together kind of once a year at the end of term and have a bit of a tea, coffee, some cake session, invite them in, thank them for what they're doing, but also do a bit more of a formal evaluation and allow them to network together to talk about not only what they're doing in school, but to talk about what else is going on out with the school environment. So that's absolutely something we're going to think about. Our 16 plus team, this is something again that we have been building up a network that is consistent. We have 16 plus meetings which take place once every month. It's the first Monday of the month, so our staff, it's nice and easy to remember, and if there's a Monday holiday, it's on a Tuesday. And within that team, so within our 16 plus team, we've got myself as the deputy lead. We've got our other deputy head teachers join the meeting. We've got our integrated support team, which is our guidance staff, our support for pupils, our lead of the Wellbeing Hub and Enhanced Support Hub. We've got a Careers Advisor, DYW Coordinator. We've got Diane McGill from Edinburgh College, who's a college link. We've got Bernardo's, who look after the activity agreements and have some other opportunities. Our post-schools advisor, our No One Left Behind advisor, and any other key workers and partners are invited along. So what we tend to do is, if there are specific partners that we're interested in hearing from, we'll invite them along so they can come and chat at the start of the session. We'll hear from them, they'll provide some of the pamphlets that they do, and we'll have a discussion around whether it would be suitable for our young people, and then they leave the call from there. Again, it's just building up a bank of what's out there and knowing what's going to work for our young people year on year. And the meetings are really consistent. They go through a similar theme every meeting, which is around the introductions and updates. We don't do introductions of everybody at the meeting, but we always do updates from our key partners and any introductions of anybody new joining the meeting. We've got our leavers updates, so we keep an eye on whether leavers are moving into sustained destinations. So our careers advisor always keeps us updated on whether anybody's status has changed, and we look at what supports we can put in place there, whether that's a phone call home or whether looking at any of our post-school partners can link in. We've then got our winter summer leavers focus, so that is specifically looking at any S4 people who's leaving in summer or any S5 summer leaver, as well as our Christmas leavers, usually our S5 Christmas leavers. We then look at our pupil concerns and non-attenders, as well as equity cohorts, so care experienced, our Black and people of colour, additional support needs, and pupils with free meal entitlement. So there's a lot to get through, but to try and make it as efficient as possible, we try and update as many of the minutes or the notes ahead of the meeting. So the staff who are coming along have access to the notes to update their caseload, and we essentially go through nation by nation. So we call them nations here instead of houses, but we go through nation by nation. Staff give their updates, and then we look to see if the wider team can offer any support for each of the updates. But the updates are short and sweet, and I suppose what it does is it offers a certain level of accountability to make sure that you are going through everyone in your caseload that you think needs to be brought to the 16 Plus forum. So it has added accountability, but more than anything, it's added a level of experience across the team to be able to make suggestions for the types of partnerships or the types of initiatives that may help that young person move into a positive destination. One of the inspectors that we had in, I think must have been from a kind of college background and was really keen on looking at the school-college partnership work that we're doing. And it was commented upon that our partnership is strong and well established. They liked the fact that we always had our college link joining our 16 Plus meetings, so that communication between school and college was slick. But one of the things that they liked most about what we were doing with college was not only the number of young people going into college, but was actually having the college options as part of our course choice sheets for S4, 5 and 6. Now, we can't physically put all the courses on a course choice sheet, but the way we've kind of put it together is we've listed some of the courses that may be most applicable based upon the nationals, the hires, the advanced hires that we offer in school. And we've kind of showed what a progression course may look like. And we make it very clear that they're just examples on the course choice sheet. But again, because it's not only pupils looking at these course choice sheets, it's parents and carers as well. And when they see the opportunity for college on the course choice sheet, it just changes the narrative slightly. So we've got around 90 young people who go to college every year, sometimes more. And we're fortunate with our location that they have quick access to college. But it is a really positive partner to have as Edinburgh College. And it's something that we're continuing to work on and to try and get right in terms of how we kind of monitor pupils' progress and how we can link in with helping pupils achieve at college. But we're certainly on the right path to giving them the support that they need. In regards to the positive destination overview, we hover around 97 to 98% year on year, which means that we have around 5 or 6 young people out of average year groups of just over 200 not going into a positive destination. Now, all our pupils are known in terms of what they go into, but we have some pupils who, either through a medical reason or other reasons, aren't moving in a positive destination. And I think the important part for us is to always try and learn from the pupils who potentially could have went into a positive destination and backtrack their story to see what we could have done differently. So I think year on year, what we try and do at our 16 plus meetings is use a couple of these pupils as a case study to backtrack as to what we've done and what we could do differently, which may have made a difference for that young person accessing a positive destination. We're obviously striving for 100%. It's a really difficult one with the number of pupils in the year group. And when it comes to some of the medical issues, it's really difficult to go beyond the percentage that we're at. So we're hovering around about the virtual comparator for our positive destinations. To try and help with pupils moving into positive destinations, we do our positive destination tracking. We've obviously got the data hub that we need to keep up to date, but we use a Microsoft Forms. Again, something that I believe it may have been Cramer used in the first instance, and it's something that actually we thought would work well for our pupils. So this goes out at the start of every year where pupils fill in a form of their estimated year of leaving, their preferred occupation, their preferred route and intended destination. And any updates are then updated on our system. But what this does is this allows us to target opportunities for different pupils accordingly. And it also allows us to have a heads up on who's leaving at the end of S4 or the end of S5, and just be a little bit more creative in terms of the targeting approach. The key thing for us is making sure that any of the non-completions are chased up, and that's always the time-consuming bit. But we do have a member of staff who helps us with that. I think I'm still on, so keep going here. Okay. Moving on, career education standard. The comment that we had was, although not explicitly signposted for learners, the career education standard 3 to 18 is embedded well in all parts of the curriculum. So essentially what they're saying is the career education standard is happening at the Royal High, but that term, career education standard, wasn't necessarily explicit. So when we had our 16 plus inspector and our community learning development lead inspector in who were speaking to pupils and staff, that phrase, career education standard, didn't always resonate to them knowing exactly what to talk about. But when they got talking and when they went into classes, they could see that the career education standard was taking place. So I would urge you just to make sure that you're actually using that phrase, and so staff refer to the career education standard and the pupils are aware of that. Two things we've done against the career education standard, which I suppose have been the game changers, is we've carried out the faculty self-evaluation against the career education standard statement, which has essentially allowed us at a very quick check. We've done a Likert scale of 1 to 10 to have a quick check as to which faculties are seeing it as a real strength in terms of that career standard and which faculties are seeing it as an area of weakness. And we average them out and we begin to find the trends of what we probably need to prioritise as a school in terms of equipping staff with the knowledge and the confidence to be able to make small steps forward and trying to achieve the career education standards. And faculties have also completed the self-evaluation and reflection using the career education standard expectation. The last time we completed those two evaluations was in 2020, so we're due to do that again during our in-service period for August 23. So we try and do these every 3 years as part of our kind of 3-year planning cycle. Within the report, skills were referenced, and skills are something that are being talked about a lot at the moment. This poster that's on screen is our teaching and learning policy, Engage in Leaps, and within it, the Engage in Leaps policy, skills are identified. So the expectation for all staff in school is that when they deliver a lesson, there should be subject-specific skills that are referenced, or there should be employability skills that are referenced within that lesson. Now, it may not have to be talked about during that specific lesson, every lesson, but they need to be covered. And then as part of any plenaries that take place, or as part of any starters, there are conversations that will happen at some point for pupils to reflect upon. But the fact that skills are identified in our teaching and learning policy just sets the standard for all staff in the school. We currently still work with the Edinburgh City Council employability skills that are outlined here, and pupils are aware of what these are, staff are aware of what these are. These are really well embedded across planning documents within departments. But what the working group has been focusing on is moving forward and planning for the meta skills. So this year, our working group has really focused on looking at skills language as a group, looking at future skills. These have been all the online modules that you can complete, and looking at meta skills, with the idea of being that we are going to be launching meta skills in place of our employability skills in our curriculum next year. And we're linking in with Amber Beatson from Skills Development Scotland, who's coming into the school, working with our working group team to talk about how we can now best launch these meta skills. The team have completed the modules. We're in a good place in terms of knowing what we currently do, but really it's about making sure that when we do launch meta skills, that they don't fall flat in the face, that actually they're front and centre of what we're doing, and that pupils know about what they are, parents and carers know about what they are, that the staff are really thinking about how they can use these within their lessons. And we've still a lot of work to do there. Other schools will be ahead of us in terms of the meta skill implementation, but that is the direction we're going. My world of work, most schools will be familiar with how that works, and we actually use My World of Work for our S3 profiling, and the inspection team were happy with the way that we carried out our profiling. So pupils carrying out their about me, their skills, their strength summary. But on top of that, we use a platform, Unifrog, and Unifrog is something that is predominantly used in England. There was a number of independent schools in Scotland use Unifrog, and the only state school that was using it that we were aware of at the time was Balerno High School with Ros, and I had a good chat, and we've decided to go with Unifrog. And actually, it's been great as the kind of complete destination platform, as they brand it. It's got a little bit more scope, I think, than My World of Work in terms of the pathways and the libraries that pupils can explore around different career areas. There's opportunities for personality quizzes, webinars. Pupils can search university, colleges, apprenticeships, other special opportunities such as summer work experiences, and they can kind of bookmark different things that they're interested in and begin to create a bit of a profile for the things that they're interested in, and that follows them through school. One of the things that I've really liked about Unifrog is when pupils begin to note the areas that they're interested in, the admin team at the other side of Unifrog are then able to see what they are, and any school opportunities that we have, such as My Future Friday or work experience opportunities that come up, we can do a direct email to the pupils who've ticked that they're interested in finance, for example, or law or construction or whatever it may be, and an email will automatically be sent out to those pupils. And that has actually been hugely beneficial in terms of the kind of targeted approach model. We've still a long way to go with Unifrog, and there's lots of things and lots of capacity within the programme. Again, we started off quite small and had a focus on our junior phase, really trying to get them to explore the kind of personality quizzes, the libraries, getting them exploring the various opportunities that are out there. And the filters are really great that within Scotland, for example, it will allow you to explore the college opportunities, the apprenticeship opportunities, not just university opportunities, although the name Unifrog might be a bit misleading there. So I would encourage you to, if you want to have a conversation with us around the benefits of Unifrog, but certainly that is something that our careers team and our pupils are commenting upon really favourably. So just a couple of things in terms of the pre-inspection planning. Based on having gone through everything for DYW, the things that I would suggest you do is know your data, know your positive destinations over the years, know the reasons why pupils aren't going into positive destinations. You get your pre-inspection report sent to you, and it gives you all the quantitative data of the various pupils moving into positive destinations, the SIM profile of pupils moving into positive destinations, and that data really helps you to begin to look into your school intelligence. Subject partners, there'll be lots going on out there that we're not always aware of as a team, and it's about trying to pull everything together that's going on and figure out the ways that they're bringing the curriculum to life, just to make sure that anything that's going on is front and centre of the agenda, and we're celebrating the various partnership working that's going on, either with former pupils or employers or whatever it might be, making sure that you identify who you're working with and the impact that that's having. So carrying out those evaluations. If you haven't already, definitely carrying out the faculty self-evaluation against the 10 career education standard statement. It just gives you a really quick visual representation of where you are as a school in terms of confidence levels with the career education standard and DYW as a whole. And obviously the written reflections just allow you to get a bit more insight into each of the faculties and how they feel with all things DYW related. But that is a really good starting point for creating your DYW strategy. Have your positive destination tracking in place. They did look at my tracking database for making sure that seeing how we basically track pupils over the years, how we highlighted pupils who were maybe at risk and how this linked into our 16+ meetings, and having obviously all your minutes organised for that. And really, I suppose it was about pulling all the evidence together. And when I say pull all the evidence together, I created a booklet just to make it as easy as possible for the inspectorate team coming in. I basically handed that over to them, which highlighted everything that's going on. That's been shared on the website along with the PowerPoint. So I've taken out our contacts, but all the other information's on there. So that's out there to see and ask questions around if you wish. In regards to the actual visit itself, we had 10 in our inspection team, one specifically focused on the 16+, and one who was a community learning development lead. And one of the toughest things to probably organise ahead of the inspection was trying to get all our partners together for the focus group times. So I would say be organised with that. Make sure that you try and give them as much notice as possible, even though the notice isn't that long, to try and get them together in one place. So it was requested that there was a maximum of 8 in each group. So we broke it down into community partners. So these were the kind of influential partners that link in with us as a school. I broke it down into employability partners. So this was what I regarded as our 16+ team. We then had our SDS careers advisor and pastoral pastoral care team, met as a group. So that was included our DYW coordinator, our college link. In school, we've got a UCAS staff lead, and we also have a wellbeing hub in school where we have a member of staff working with young people who are a bit more dysregulated and are involved in some of the more intense partnership working. So that person was also represented in that meeting. Our teachers that are involved in partnership working, such as an Inform, Inspire, Hire, such as other staff who really are off the ground with their influential partners. And finally, probably one of the ones they're most interested in is speaking to the pupils and hearing from them as to what's actually going on and trying to triangulate what I'm saying, what other staff are saying, but really to see if the pupils are agreeing or marrying up what we're saying to make sure that all the evidence is triangulated. They were really keen to speak to the pupils involved in the school-college partnership, and they were also really keen to speak to our career reps. Thankfully, most of it did marry up. It's a bit of an overview. I've tried to pull out, as I say, some of the areas that were commented upon from the inspection report and just to talk to those a little bit. There's lots of other things we could talk about. We're definitely on a journey with DYW. Within our school, it's definitely a lot more front and centre of our agenda. Staff are talking about it, pupils are talking about it, pupils know where to access the careers team and are beginning to really explore different career opportunities. But we've a long way to go. And we're seeing lots of good practice going on in other schools. And we as a team are really trying to look outwards, particularly around the kind of meta skills at the moment, and think about how we can best get that right as we move forward. That brings us to the end of the presentation. So I'll open up for any questions. I'm also going to just stop the recording. So that is now